Let's start. Please introduce yourself by sharing your full name, your role, the type of practice you're in, your location, and how long have you been running the practice?
Yes, Ken Mims. I'm with an organization called Noriversity Education Research Center. We operate an ABA therapy center for students with autism, and we're in the startup stages. So we're in the first actual 6 months of this particular therapy program.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kenneth. Before working with DocVA, can you share with us your challenges, pain points that you have been experiencing in your practice or in your operations, please?
Yeah, well, when you're at the startup stage in a therapy practice or as a provider, the budget is thin because there's a time period of just going through credentialing, getting standard operating procedures going, establishing, operational systems, training, those type of things. And so from a budgetary standpoint, that's probably one of the most challenging things as far as hiring a staff, team members that can, competent team members that can support. So that's probably the biggest pain point I would say, besides just having the staff that has the capacity to support.
With those challenges or pain points that you've mentioned, how does your DocVA virtual assistant help address those? And what improvements have you noticed since bringing your VA on?
Yeah, so it addresses both those points, budgetary constraints as well as human resource constraints. So from a budgetary standpoint, DocVA allows us to have the support at a price point that we can, make the investment prior to receiving revenue at this time. As we go through, in due time, that's the goal, that we will have the revenue. But it gave us just that opportunity to have a price point that we can manage. But outside of the price point, the added value, based upon the capacity of the support from individuals from DocVA, is very high. Very great as far as the capacity, the insight. I would say the alignment, the synergy, the time period as far as training and getting up to speed is very minimal. But just having someone on your team that is, fully engaged, invested, and ready to go to take on the task and take on the mission was a little shocking. So, but that's the goal, that's the plan. It doesn't always work out like that, but with Doc VA, it has helped us, to move forward to achieve those goals.
Wonderful to hear, Kenneth. Thank you so much. So let's talk about your virtual assistant, okay? So how long did it take for you to get a virtual assistant from DocVA? And then number two, what's the background of your virtual assistant? What it is that's in with your VA that you really like the most? And what are the responsibilities or functionalities of your virtual assistant?
So surprisingly, I think it may have taken 4 days, maybe 4 days from the time that I had a meeting with the initial representative, just to learn about the organization, the process. I think after just about 4 days, I had a meeting with approximately, I think, three potential candidates, and then I was able to make that determination at that time or shortly after that meeting that day. And so that was phenomenal. As far as onboarding and getting up to speed, with the VA, she has the ability or past experiences working in a medical setting around billing and just overall office operations. And so we didn't quite need her in that capacity directly, but those experiences allowed her to support us with these early stage startup stages as far as building the practice. So she has that ability. She's comfortable, with putting together what we need her to work on and put together.
Wow, all right. So, billing, aside from those, what are the other responsibilities that you have provided to your virtual assistants?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the early startup stages include credentialing, but after credentialing, transitions into creating operational, procedures, standard operating procedures that support not only operations, but compliance, training. And so
Mhm.
she's been able to provide support as we build out those internal documents and operational, I guess, frameworks, you could say.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kenneth. Now, let's talk about those, providers or potential clients who are still on the fence of hiring about a virtual assistant. So how would you address those?
Well, first of all, I would say I understand. I understand. I was there. We were there. So I would say don't wait too long to make the decision, because the more you wait, the more you could potentially lose as far as opportunities, as far as potential revenue, and just whatever opportunities you have as a business. So that's one consideration. Second consideration is the price point, the value, the added value. It's so great, but if it doesn't work out for whatever reason, there's mechanisms and systems that DocVA, that I later found out going through the process of onboarding, and after a period of time, that there's system DocVA has a system where they can catch misalignments. And so if there is any misalignments with the VA, it's addressed. It's a really fast process to, which wasn't our situation, but I did notice those internal kind of auditing systems to make sure that there's alignment, make sure things are working out with the VA on the particular project. So that was great to see. So that was assurance. But yeah, but basically I would just say it's really no way that you can lose, because the value, the cost compared to the added value is so much, added value compared to the potential investment, that you really can't, you really can't lose. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. So don't wait too long, right? Okay. So Kenneth, one last question. There's a lot of virtual agencies there. So why? Why would you recommend DocVA?
Yeah, that's a good point right there, and that's something that probably people need to understand, the difference. Because I prior to DocVA, I've used VAs, prior in multiple situations, and a lot of times when you have a VA, it's kind of many times just an independent thing, or maybe an organization that has one representative. But DocVA has a team, so a team of individuals that are, I guess you would say, from the sales side, meeting with you immediately, in a position as a recruiter to identify what you need, the talent, and to providing sourcing the talent and allowing you to identify. But then once that takes place, you're handed over to another team member, representative, that is, supporting, making sure that everything's aligned, making sure that you're happy, making sure that, so I would say the biggest difference is really that I noticed that DocVA has a solid team. And even if there's any, turnover, transitioning, just communicated, transparent. Overall, DocVA is transparent, and their intentions is to provide a high quality experience and added value for businesses.
Well, transparency, integrity, excellence, that's how we really work here in DocVA operations. So thank you so much, Kenneth, for your time today. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we end our conversation, Kenneth?
No, no, that's it. I mean, the only thing I would just say is just, to some degree, I want to say it's no way that you can really lose, but everything is a process. Everything is a learning process. And I would say, just go through the process with an open perspective, and an open air, and just make adjustments, as needed when needed, but DocVA is definitely an organization to, run to when you're looking for VA, specifically in the medical space, which is another thing that I didn't talk about, which is very unique.
Thank you so much, Kenneth, for those words. We truly, truly appreciate you. Well, I don't want to, extend the time, but thank you again for this testimonial. Truly, we are so blessed to have you as part of our family, and we look forward for longer years of partnership with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kenneth. You have a blessed day ahead. You take care.